Thunder Focus Tea is a pretty complicated ability. It has a lot of interactions, and many of these interactions change or gain additional function depending on the talents that you're running. Today we are just going to break all of it down with each interaction as well as the use cases based on the changes. Starting out with just the base Thunder Focus Tea ability, this is a 30-second cooldown, and the cooldown starts on the button press. This will give you a buff that lasts for 30 seconds, and within those 30 seconds you have to use one of 3 abilities. This is either Enveloping Mist, Renewing Mist, or Rising Sun Kick. These are referred to a lot as empowered abilities, but I do want to clarify that we're using empowered because of the wording in the tooltip, but these are not like evoker empowered abilities, it's just referring to the additional function of the spells with Thunder Focus Tea. When empowering Enveloping Mist, it will do a instant heal as well as be instant cast. When empowering Renewing Mist, you gain 10 seconds on that buff duration, and when used with Rising Sun Kick, you reduce the cooldown of Rising Sun Kick by 9 seconds. In this case, with 0 other talents taken into consideration, Renewing Mist is the main empowered ability for raid settings as it helps with raid-wide Renewing Mist coverage. For Mythic Plus, Rising Sun Kick tends to be the default to help with healing through Ancient Teachings since it is our hardest hitting single target ability, as well as applying Renewing Mist through Rapid Diffusion and extending those through Rising Mist. That makes Rising Sun Kick with Thunder Focus Tea a great choice because there are a lot of interactions with our Rising Sun Kick and it's a very important button. If you need a bit of emergency healing or you're healing on the move, then you can use Enveloping Mist, and I use this pretty often due to our Apex talents that we'll talk about later. Moving into spec talents that modify Thunder Focus Tea, all of these modifiers are in addition to the base Thunder Focus Tea effect, so it builds up complexity pretty quickly depending on what you run. First up, and the most common modifier, is Secret Infusion. Secret Infusion will add a stat bonus onto your Thunder Focus Tea, with the stat being determined by which ability you empower. Rank 1 Secret Infusion will provide 4% stat, and Rank 2 will provide 8. There is also no duration on the buff, so it will last until your next Thunder Focus Tea empowered ability is used. Enveloping Mist will provide Critical Strike, Renewing Mist will provide Haste, and Rising Sun Kick will provide Versatility. At this point, you can pick between using your Thunder Focus Tea empowered abilities based on the Empower function, or their stat, or both. In Raid, we would still want to use Thunder Focus Tea and Renewing Mist due to the increased duration on the Hot as well as the Haste, which is our best stat. And keys, we still pretty much pick between Enveloping Mist and Rising Sun Kick, both for the function and for the stat, but you may find yourself using Renewing Mist for the Haste if needed to get more value out of something like your single target rotation, your celestial rotation, or just cast speed in general. Focus Thunder is another modifying talent, and this provides an additional empowered ability. The base Thunder Focus Tea allows 1 empowered ability, with Focus Thunder you get 2. If you're using Focus Thunder and Secret Infusion, your first ability will determine which stat you get. You do not get 2 different stat buffs if you use 2 different abilities. This puts a bit more power into your Thunder Focus Tea cast if that's something that you like to play heavily around, and it can provide a little bit more flexibility for your Thunder Focus Tea casts. You can use any 2 combination of spells. There is no restriction on empowered abilities outside of Secret Infusion buff assignment. If you want 2 Rising Sun Kicks, you can do that. You can do 1 Renewing Mist for the haste from Secret Infusion and then 1 Rising Sun Kick for the damage and Ancient Teachings healing. You could use 2 Enveloping Mist for high movement and high damage phases, or any combination that you would like depending on the situation that you're in. Emperor's Elixir is one of our capstones, and this will provide additional function to 2 of our base abilities. If you are using Thunder Focus Tea with Emperor's Elixir and use Enveloping Mist, you will get the instant cast and the instant heal, but this will also start a Soothing Mist channel that you can move with. This special Soothing Mist has all of the normal Soothing Mist interactions where you can instant cast through the channel, as well as swap targets freely without interrupting yourself. This will be useful during high movement phases that require healing at the same time, but without needing to talent Way of the Serpent if you don't want it for the entire dungeon. When using Thunder Focus Tea and Emperor's Elixir and Rising Sun Kick, you'll shoot out a Jade Fire Stomp, which does a burst of damage as well as healing through Ancient Teachings. It does decent healing and a lot of damage, so it could be used for both the damage and the healing as long as it fits the profile of the damage that you're taking. If you are running Focus Thunder and Emperor's Elixir, you will get the Emperor's Elixir effect on both empowered spells. You can use 2 Rising Sun Kicks for 2 Jade Fire Stomps, or 2 Enveloping Mist for movement twice in a row, which can cover a large amount of time and space considering the cast time on our Soothing Mist. For Conduit of the Celestials, using Thunder Focus Tea will trigger Heart of the Jade Serpent to proc. Heart of the Jade Serpent will increase the cooldown rate on Renewing Mist, Rising Sun Kick, Thunder Focus Tea, and Life Cocoon. So this is the first direct impact on our toolkit outside of the original empowered abilities and Thunder Focus Tea itself. Considering Renewing Mist and Rising Sun Kick are rotational abilities, and Thunder Focus Tea is what's doing the triggering of this buff, most of the focus here is on Life Cocoon use. Ideally, Life Cocoon is used before you use Thunder Focus Tea when you are playing Conduit of the Celestials, so you can benefit from the cooldown reduction, but I wouldn't use Life Cocoon just for the sake of using it. You don't want to waste it, but also, if you know that you'll be using Life Cocoon soon and can wait a few seconds on Thunder Focus Tea, then you should try to utilize that cooldown reduction. This is something most players won't need to specifically play around, but it is good to keep in mind. For Master of Harmony, Endless Drafts will give you an additional use of Thunder Focus Tea, which is an important distinction from Focus Thunder. Endless Draft gives an entirely additional cast of the ability instead of just empowering additional spells. This means that if you really wanted to, you could proc your Spiritfont back to back. Another interaction with Thunder Focus Tea and Master of Harmony is that using Thunder Focus Tea will trigger your Vitality Drain window. This will cause an additional 40% healing with the available pooled Vitality. This is a bit of a more impactful decision compared to that of Conduit of the Celestials, since this can be used as a healing cooldown when needed, in addition to all of the effects from Thunder Focus Tea, baseline, and the spec talents impacting it. This is used essentially as its own cooldown for Master of Harmony, and everything else takes a bit of a backseat since the Master of Harmony effect is more impactful than any of the base effects. And finally, we have Spiritfont, which is our Apex talent. When you are talented into the 4th point, you can force proc a Spiritfont with Thunder Focus Tea, which can be extremely valuable to the level of that of a cooldown if used properly. I mentioned it quite a bit throughout the rest of the video, but when it comes to actually using Thunder Focus and keys, I primarily plan my usage around where I want to ensure that I have a Spiritfont proc, since it does hold so much power compared to the other empowered abilities. So I decide if I need a Spiritfont immediately. If I do, I will use Enveloping Mist for the instant cast and to trigger Spiritfont fast. If I don't need to proc Spiritfont right away, I decide if I want a specific buff like Versatility to deal with a large amount of damage. I could also want the haste from Renewing Mist to streamline and speed up the rest of my kit, or I could just want the cooldown reduction on Rising Sun Kick. The primary use is the most important thing to plan out, and everything else is kind of just a bonus. You're not locked into the same decision every time, which is why I really like playing with Thunder Focus Tea. If I know that I don't need Spiritfont in the next 30 seconds, but I do have Thunder Focus Tea available, then I can use it for some extra damage or some spot healing. It is a very versatile button that can be overwhelming, but I hope that this helped break the ability and the interactions down and helped give some insight on the decision making.